We can.
Okay, great. Thank you for confirming. Hi, everyone. I'm Mandy Elliott. I am taking care of our AI and data portfolio in experience engineering at Red Hat. You heard from Paul Lyons earlier today. I work for him, so this is all his fault. No, I'm kidding. This has been really fun. There's so much to do in this space. And as you all likely know, it changes daily, so keeps things interesting. There we go. So I quickly want to cover sort of some background, like how we think about AI at Red Hat and how we're approaching it from a strategic perspective. Then I'll give you an overview of our current solutions, a little peek into our pipeline and what we've got queued up for CY25. And then I thought I would share a few of the things that we've learned along the way. Curious to hear other thoughts when we get there as well. So think about the other things you want to share because I'd love to hear them. So there's lots of concerns about AI, just as much as there's excitement for the opportunity. I think the same is true for the worries and fears, right, across teams about data, all kinds of things. And so we really explicitly wrote down when we started on this journey, only earlier this year, which seems crazy, that, our goal here is assistance and augmentation, not replacement. Specifically, not replacement of humans, right? I think a number of folks have talked about this. This is about redeploying effort toward higher value activities, whatever that may mean. Moving folks onto other things, allowing them time to do different types of work, whatever it is, whatever makes sense for your business and impacts customers more, right? That's what we want. We've also explicitly said AI is not the only thing, right? Not every one of our business challenges could or should be solved with AI. Sometimes all we need is automation. Sometimes it's actually a workflow or a process issue. And so our goal is not to AI everything at this time. We're being really particular about our investments and how we proceed in this space. True to Red Hat fashion, we really focused on transparency to sort of wear down on some of that concern and worry about what's happening, right? Just be really clear about what we're doing, what data we're using, what processes, what data science techniques, all of the good, juicy details we publish in blogs and in open forum type meetings that folks are welcome to join. And the biggie that we really don't compromise on is measurement. If you can't show what difference your solution is making, you don't have a case for continuing it, right? So number one thing, you've got a baseline. You can be creative about those measurements. Someone else talked about that. We can't measure in exactly the same way we've measured things in the past, right? But that's some of the fun part. So I wanted to share that with you as some background. And then for us, it's really all about the experience. It's literally the name of our division. We are experience engineering for Red Hat. And so we have started to think about all of our solutions and our strategy in these three buckets for our solutions. Like we are working to help personalize actions, like what is the right thing to do at this time, whether that's an action that we need to take or the customer needs to take. What do we sound like? Brand obviously plays a large role in every company. And this is a new channel in a lot of ways for how we're using it. And so how do we consistently sound like, look like Red Hat in these new AI-powered spaces and experiences? And then, answers. You've seen a lot of examples where we're working to provide the best answer, most accurate answer, and the fastest answer in a lot of cases. So What it takes to do all of that is data, which you also heard several other folks comment on. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead on to our current solutions. I did link a public blog that we did on redhat.com that talks about how we use AI to support our customers. And so that's available as well for anyone who's interested. I can maybe pop it in the chat as well in a little bit. So we really pulled our team together officially in March of this year, and we launched our first solution, which is the troubleshooting recommendations that you see here last Thanksgiving. So it's almost its first birthday, which is so exciting. Time has flown by. And since then, we've been measuring the impact of all the solutions that we have. And so you can see we're over 4 million so far in the year, which is exciting. We measure that in different ways, and we aggregate it across all of the solutions that we have. So for each solution, we identify success measures, we establish a baseline, and we keep track. I mean, we turn minutes into dollars where it makes sense. We keep track of reduction in time to do something, whatever it may be, particular to the use case. And one of the things that I want to really call out is the purposeful collaboration that's required to achieve a successful implementation of an AI solution. There's so many different skill sets and perspectives, subject matter expertise in different areas that's necessary to really get it right. It took us a while to figure that out at first, and now that we've got sort of all the various teams working together, we've seen a lot more acceleration in this space. One of the other things that really helped us sort of pursue so many use cases, it's not so many, it feels like a lot for 9 months, is that we clustered our use cases. So what you'll see here in these examples, we're talking about KCS related data for the most part, and each one of these built on top of the previous. So we were building a new AI capability or helping to set us up for the next step. So we started in search, which I think Ryan talked about earlier and gave that as a recommendation. I also would give that recommendation. Really looking at effective self-solve, making sure that the search results we were providing were as relevant as possible in our troubleshooting workflow in the customer portal. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Then we said, all right, well, we're focused on those search results. KCS doesn't have a short description, a snippet, if you will, right? It's sometimes hard to scan for what you're looking for. It just has the title repeated again underneath the hyperlink. And so then we started generating snippets to help you scan as the user, scan the list of results. Is this likely to be the right thing? Do these seem like the right words? Then we moved on to case summarization, which was the final step we needed to reach to be able to get to drafting net new KCS based on the information contained within a case. So we worked through the information contained within the case to generate a summary. So you can see how each one of these was a building block toward our big goal, which was being able to draft net new KCS. We really believe that that takes a lot of effort off of our TSEs, and it really improves the content pipeline, right? And the coverage of content, the capture of knowledge, and feeds that back into all of these AI solutions. We had really wonderful experts in that space, like Albert, who's on the call helping us out with that, and Mani on the technical side. So shout out to those folks since you're both here. So I'll show you what these look like. These are screenshots of our customer portal. This is the troubleshooting workflow within the customer portal. So you're authenticated here. We know who you are. We know what products you have. As you type in the title and as you type in the description of your problem, every time you type and hit space, you're going to see live search results. We're actually using one of our own products, OpenShift AI, to power this. And so you can actually see two of those solutions that I had in the last slide showing up here, right? So those results are being sent to the search service, and then they're being re-ranked, if you will, based on their relevance. And then you're also seeing the snippet if it has one generated. So it's that tweet size summary of what's actually contained within that KCS document. So I also mentioned our AI generated case summary, right? We really focused on handoffs, so follow the sun type situations, sub ones. Want to make sure we're not asking the customer the same question again or recommending the same thing again just because we had a personnel change for time zone and shift swap and all of that good stuff. So you can see here, sorry, it's a little grainy maybe, but you can see the generate summary button. This is integrated right into the Salesforce interface where our support engineers are working, so they don't have to leave their main tooling. They do that, and it generates, if it's never been generated before, then it pulls from everything that's available. If it has been generated before, then it only looks at the newest comments and adds that to the summary that was already developed. And so that helps us a little bit performance-wise. We've been getting really good feedback on this. We see it's a limited rollout still at this point. So we see about 250 uses on a weekly basis. We get close to 30,000 cases a month right now. So we're just about to roll this out to a broader set, really all the case base. So that will be another opportunity to get lots of feedback, which is one of the things I highly recommend as part of this process. Make sure you've got a mechanism to capture feedback from your users of these solutions, whether those are your associates or your customers. All of that helps the model improve and helps you understand the usage of all the hard work you put in to put this out. And so you can see this creates consistency for the case summary because there's a template that's delivered and the information is in these categories each time. You can see it's pretty easy to scan, much more so than, you know, a string of 50 comments or something like that that you might be walking into. And finally, in this section, our KCS Draft Assist solution, which is currently in pilot, very exciting, and the check duplicate solution that has also been delivered in production. So these two are related. Again, it's all about the content here. Several other folks have talked about that. I echo it. And it's not only it's the content, obviously, yes, for the users and for the support engineers, but all of this content goes back into and keeps feeding into all of your developed AI solutions, right? So you want to keep that pipeline of high quality data coming and improving. And so you can see we have the capability to generate KCS draft from case information. So when you first generate, it will just capture the issue in the environment. And as the case progresses, you can actually mark comments as a resolution, as root cause, as whatever it might be, and then come back into this tool and update the KCS, gather that information and put it in using the model that's supporting this. One thing I wanted to call out, and you see the warning box here, right? We are always reminding our associates, it is still your job to make sure that the content is accurate and correct, right? hallucinations happen. Sometimes they're embarrassing. We want to try to de-risk some of that opportunity. And so just as a reminder, hey, make sure you take a look at this. You've had some help doing it, but it's still your responsibility to make sure that it reflects the expectations and the level of quality that Red Hat wants to deliver to its customers. And you can see on one of the points that I made earlier, here we are collecting feedback from them. They have the opportunity to provide feedback at any point during the process. And then check duplicate. Again, high quality content, right? We don't want to have duplicates of existing content. Maybe there's something to add to something that already exists. Well, let's help you find that. And so you can see our check duplicate tool here, which gives you a % match in the different sections of KCS and lets you go through those and take a look and make sure that you're not unintentionally duplicating something, but rather have the opportunity to update or edit or improve something that already exists. So what's next? So much to do in so little time. I think that's my general feeling, having worked in this space for a little bit of time now. There's so many competing priorities and so many opportunities. I think the ability to really define your scope and what bets you're going after is one of the key things to being successful in getting implementations across the line and actually into production. A lot of teams are capable of incubating and testing and making POCs and trying things out. But when the rubber hits the road, the risk becomes real, the data becomes challenging, who is going to maintain, who's going to monitor, all of those tough questions have got to be addressed, right? We're talking about things that directly interface with customers or are very, very close to them. And so the risks are very real. We have to be willing to take them, but we can be prepared. And by doing that, you can be prepared by focusing on a few things and doing them really well. So coming up, we've got what we call a one-turn resolution. So think lower complexity. We don't define complexity using a model at this point. Maybe we'll do that in the future. But we've decided on a proxy of a particular number of comments in the case, and it's solved in less than 24 hours, right? It's pretty likely that was an easy fix, if you will, for our business. And so how can we really, that's a first step toward what you also see here as a virtual assistant, you know, really being able to provide that context aware, guiding the input from the customer, the user, and helping them refine their questions so we can find them the right information. And also allowing them to give feedback to us so that we can continue to improve the solution. So I'll put those two kind of together. And in the notes of this deck, which I'm happy to share, I also included a paper from IBM Research, which we have the great luxury of being able to partner with from time to time. And they have a paper out about one turn, which is where that phrase came from for us. And it's available online, so you can read about the solution and sort of how it's built. It's pretty interesting.
So Mandy, I have a question if you're willing to take one.
Of course.
Okay, from David Cabral. Have you had any instances where an engineer did blindly send an AI sounding blurb to a customer? And if so, how did you react?
I'm not aware of any. There we go. Thanks, Albert. No fires on that end as of yet.
Okay.
Honestly, we've had a lot of interest. in just having the ability to play with and try these different capabilities from our support organization. So that's been really exciting and encouraging as we've developed these solutions and rolled them out.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll happen at some point, so I'll let you know what happens then.
Something we can always look forward to, right?
Oh, yeah.
Keep going, please.
Okay, you got it. Okay, so I covered OneTurn and virtual assistant. AI-assisted support research. So you heard other examples of this from some of the other companies, right? These are, in this bucket for us, there's a couple of solutions here that I'm thinking about. One is an internally facing chatbot for the support organization. We don't have one yet, so we've got a proof of concept in flight, and we're actually using the new RHEL AI product to build that out, which is really interesting and a great opportunity for us to contribute to that new product from Red Hat. So having some good time there, drinking our own champagne with our friends on the product development side. And the other piece here, I know what it is, I promise. I cannot think of it right this second, but I have it in my notes somewhere if I could find it. Is our case attachment interaction tool. Sorry for the brain fart. It's getting late over here on the East Coast. It is intended to, it's a command line interface that will allow our support engineers to interact with and ask questions of case attachments. So things like SOS reports or other kinds of information that we ask customers to provide to us, but can sometimes be incredibly lengthy and like trying to find a needle in a haystack. And so using AI to help give them a pointer, you know, point them in the right direction, parse pieces of those lengthy attachments, things like that. And this is another example where we're building that on RHEL AI. So exciting for us. Okay, we've learned some things the hard way, so I thought I would share them with you all in the hopes that maybe you'll hear it from us and get to avoid it, perhaps. Again, you heard this from a number of the other, you know, wonderful and knowledgeable speakers today. Data, data, data. I almost put a picture of Marcia Brady on here because that's what it feels like. Data, data, data. Love it or hate it, you've got to have a strong relationship with your data. You cannot deliver AI solutions that you're confident in if you don't understand and manage the quality of the data that you're using. There's lots of ways to go about improving that data, but if that is not on your radar as a starting point, add it now, because you won't get very far and you won't be able to trust in what's coming out of the models, which some people are already skeptical about in the first place. So if you're not real sure about the data, you're really not going to be there in what gets spit out of the model. And so we actually, our team is specifically called AI and data. We have to invest in them in parallel to be able to deliver what we have delivered so far and what we have in mind for the future. You also heard folks talk about some of the legal hurdles. We've got some good friends in legal now who really understand what we're trying to do and have helped us put the right kinds of guardrails in place so that we know what the expectation is, and it's only if we're doing something different than what we've already done before that we need to check in with them and sort of double check that we're not crossing any of the compliance lines. We're in alignment with contractual obligations for our customers, with new global regulations that have been passed. You know, it changes all the time. but we have a great relationship with our legal folks in this space, and they have really helped us move fast after sort of taking that time to help them understand what we're trying to do up front. So highly recommend building that relationship there as well.
Up for a question? Are you up for a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. It says you mentioned you want to make sure that any AI bot that customers use has the Red Hat brand, which is which is awesome. How are you making sure this is happening?
Yeah, well, I think we have a list where we know there's at least like 13 or 14 different bots for all different things at all different stages across Red Hat. Red Hat's also got a suite of products in this space that are virtual assistants integrated into our products. They're called Lightspeed. So one of the things that we're doing is really driving connection across the different groups that are developing and delivering those things. I think we're also trying to, like bring it all together. This is one of the, to me, this is one of the most fun things about AI is the amount of energy and interest and excitement that's just always there. And at the same time, it's so challenging to herd the cats in this space and keep everybody aligned and on the same page. We've got a strong relationship with our marketing organization and the brand teams. They, as well as the UX teams, right? They develop patterns and components that can be reused. There might be different reasons to modify the UI in a particular implementation for a particular audience, particular channel, wherever it's going to be. But using a consistent set of designs or patterns to help it look similar, no matter where you are within a Red Hat property, whether you're in a product, on a digital space, in an event, who knows, there's so many different kinds of experiences. That's one of the challenges. And then I think more importantly, like, how do we always sound like Red Hat? And so we're thinking about how to do that. Like, is there a particular type of data, is there a particular training that we should do for our models to help it sound like Red Hat, like our style guides and the time, our rules for using acronyms versus the full name of the product, right? Like it seems maybe like so far down in the weeds, but I think it's those details that really impact the experience. We know that AI, even if you ask the same AI solution, the same question, you probably get a different answer. So it would be foolish, I think, to try to seek consistency at that level across these different solutions. But how do we at least sound like Red Hat? It's a really interesting question, and the content teams and our branding folks are thinking about that and working on that with us as well. So appreciate that question. I don't know that we've got it solved yet, but I think we've got the right folks thinking about it. All right, I'll keep going. We don't call our what's coming next work a roadmap anymore. We actually call it a bet map, because we're explicit about the fact that we know these things might not work out. We're taking a risk, but we have some hopefully reasonable information or specific business problem that we're seeking to solve through an AI solution. And so being really clear about those bets and the success measures early on so that we know if it's not performing, we're moving on. Maybe sometime we'll circle back to it, but this didn't pay off right now. And so we're going to leave it behind and go to the next thing. And sort of setting that expectation that everything that gets delivered or even makes it to a POC might not live forever. with the speed and the volatility that exists in the AI space, I think is just part of being transparent for us. Really thinking about everything we do as an experiment. How are we evaluating? How do we know that it's doing what we thought it would do and that it's delivering the results that we seek? We've got to ask ourselves those questions. And one of the things that I've learned as the leader that had the wonderful opportunity to really build this team from scratch. We started as a really scrappy group of folks that came together with different sets of skills from different teams. And we've grown into a really multidisciplinary team. And I truly believe that that's the key. I mentioned this earlier. To deliver AI solutions successfully, you truly need different skill sets in different areas. I don't personally have data scientists on my team. I rely on a data science team at Red Hat to provide that service to me and to understand the business outcomes that we're seeking, right? I'm inner sourcing from Red Hat's view that service so that I don't have to specialize in it. I care about customer support and experiences, not data science. And so I'm not investing in that space. I'm borrowing from the folks who already have that knowledge. One of the really interesting roles that we've created on the team that I think has had a really significant impact is what we call an AI technical strategist. That's my really smart friend, Mani, who's on the call, who's trained as a search engineer. And we've got a couple folks in this role now. They're senior principal and principal engineers. And so they're able to connect the dots from our friends in data science to our subject matter experts in the business and to our engineering teams who are delivering the solutions, building them, establishing, observability tools, and hosting them in whatever place makes sense, because we do use different tools for different reasons. So really helping to hold the strategy all together, and they really focus on applying their knowledge in the fuzzy phases, as we call them. So when the problem's not quite clear, when we're not exactly sure how we're going to deliver it, don't know which model is going to work, that's where they really focus in creating clarity for the team so that everyone else that's involved in this process then can hit the ground running when we've made some decisions and have preliminary information to go from. And finally, I think measure, measure, measure. What matters? The things that matter to us are evaluating the models, right? How do you decide which thing is going to meet your needs? So what's the test data set that you need to have? How are you evaluating? Are you doing this manually? Do you have a critic model that you're applying? We've done both. As we mature, I'm sure we'll lean more on the critic model and do less manual. Hey, couple of senior TSEs, can you look through these responses and tell us if it's good or bad, right? We need to help the model understand what a good case summary looks like. Can you help us do that? Those kinds of things have been instrumental in developing these early solutions. You heard me talk about data quality. I often think I heard it called Project Flashlight once, just shining a light on what's actually there, even if you don't do anything with it, can often create interest and intent to really improve that data, be that in controls that you put on fields, on how you aggregate things, how you handle null values, all kinds of things that can crop up in the complexities of data collection and storage. The business impact, like I said, you saw in one of my first slides, we're proud that we've created over $4 million in business impact so far this year. we're helping our teammates, we hope, reduce the burden and be able to support our customers as excellently as possible on behalf of Red Hat. And so being able to really say that with confidence is something that has kept us going. And I think, frankly, helps us make the case for continued investment. We're going to grow my team because we've been able to produce that kind of impact. And I mentioned this also, so sorry, I'm repeating myself, but these are the things not to forget, I promise. We learned the hard way, is user feedback, right? Every piece of information about a thumbs up, a thumbs down, a star rating, a piece of feedback in a survey, about an error in using the solution, about a less than desirable result, right, helps us make the model better for next time, and they output more of what we're expecting. So I hope that was interesting. That's all I've got for you. Appreciate your time and the opportunity to be here.
Well, let's see if we can get some questions. Keep you busy.
You got it.
I admit, I snuck off and had an espresso just a little bit ago, so I missed about 3 minutes of it.
Oh, no worries. I had mine right before I went on to keep me up for this. So
yeah, it's a long day. No question about it. So you were, Mandy, I'll just chat with you a second and see if we can still want questions. But
sure.
were you listening to the conversation that we had with Paul and the other members advisory board people this morning, or first thing?
I was. Yep.
And it was all interesting to me, but we as a group have speculated about where this is going, and some of it was, to me, a bit, well, not only thought-provoking, but almost startling, like, daily software upgrades, 500-word prompts, and a whole lot of things that I had never heard before.
Yeah.
So do you agree with my feeling that this is not just an incremental change? This is the ushering in of a whole new era where change is going to be pretty much constant.
Absolutely. I mean, when you step back from some of the volatility and reflect on how significant of a transformation this stands to be for so many industries across so many use cases in our own personal day-to-day lives, right? I personally use AI now to do meal planning for my family, and that saves me a couple hours a week, not having to write the grocery list from scratch and try to think of something different to eat. It's fundamentally changing how we do tasks, be that at work or at home.
That would have never occurred to me in a million years.
It's fabulous. I don't miss doing it myself at all.
I don't blame you. So we are getting some questions. So
okay.
First one, what are the outcomes that you want to celebrate by the end of next year? That's a nice question, I think.
Oh, we have a stretch goal to save our wonderful TSCs who have so much work to do all the time, 75% of their time that it takes today to put a KCS out into the world and ready to be used. That's really important because that's the fuel for all of our AI solutions today as well. We also have a larger target for next year to seek $25 million in business impact, which is no small feat. I'm really excited about the opportunity associated with a Red Hat virtual assistant thinking about the impact that that has across all the Red Hat properties, all of our associates, all of our customers, it's really big. I'm certain we're going to approach it in pieces, but being able to play a role in shaping what those interactions are going to look like, and thinking about literally what it looks like to transform to an intelligent front door. Think about not having to get to the right site or get to the right place to log in or go from this thing to that thing, right? But wherever you show up, we're orchestrating that behind the scenes and pulling you to wherever you need to be, or pulling whatever you need to you. Whatever that ends up looking like. I think it's just, I feel like I'm gushing and I don't mean to, but when you really think about it, like the opportunity to participate in this space right now will probably be like career defining for so many people, because we're at the beginning, right?
Yep.
And it's the choices that we're making now that set the bar, set the expectations, start to shape user expectations about what they will see and do on our sites and in our products forever going forward until the next thing comes along.
Wow. Well, we got several questions that have come in. Here's the next one. You said you used an internal product. Was there an external product compared for use to, and why did you choose? If so, why did you choose internal?
Yeah, we have the good fortune of being Red Hat and having AI products to use. We have used other open source models like Mistral. I think Mistral is the only other one that we've used right now, but we've also used IBM's watsonx.ai to host the models for a particular solution. We use that for our for our snippet solution. But honestly, it's been easy to avoid a lot of the vendor components of that, giving them data, their platforms have access to our data and all of that kind of stuff, defining the terms and doing the negotiating that I think Ryan was talking about earlier as well. It's like we've been able to avoid that for the most part and use Red Hat OpenShift AI to host the models and build APIs for, build endpoints that we integrate into existing applications as much as possible. We want to avoid a lot of the chair turning and sort of moving from one application to another as much as possible, right? Focus on the primary tooling that we're asking our TSCs to use on a daily basis and integrating it where they are, which we hope drives adoption as these solutions mature and improve as well. So we really didn't do a lot of external product comparison because we weren't forced to. And it's been really great to have the opportunity to give our product teams feedback about what we need and see them react to that and address our use cases in that way.
Okay.
I know that's a luxury that many folks don't have, so highly prized here.
Well, you're right. Next one from my friend Arndt van Oosterfjord. Great job, Mandy. So you're getting a little credit there. What are the major savings categories in your $4 million savings, given HC, which I assume is headcount savings, is not a focus?
Yeah, absolutely. So the largest contributor to that is successful self-solve, right? AKA deflection. A big chunk comes from our re-ranking, right? So being able to help folks resolve their issues without needing to open a case. We can see if a particular session ID does not have a case associated with it. I think after 15 days, We call it no case opened, which is a good outcome in that case. They found what they needed, they interacted with the content, and then did not open the case. So we can typically say that that's not an abandonment, right? Because they did interact. There's something that they did that we provided to them at that point. There are other savings, specifically around time. For example, in generating snippets, that content literally would not exist if we didn't do it with AI. That's not a thing that we could prioritize human time for. So that was all time avoided, right? So we have net new content that wouldn't have existed before. One of the other things I didn't talk about, but we have and continue to grow is case routing and case tagging. And so the accuracy rate of those, right, obviously prevents manual work from TSEs having to move cases to the correct SBR or the right queue, whatever it may be. So it's things like that that contribute to those savings. So we do call them cost avoidance, right? It's not pure operational savings, right? But we're trying to create space and time so that those associates can focus their time in other places that we see as having higher value.
Great detailed answer. So one more. Have you had good outcomes by using the critic model?
I wish Monty could talk. Maybe he can type. I think that it's been good for us. This is one of the spaces, frankly, where I lean very heavily on our data science folks that we are partnered up with. I know that it's a lot faster than the manual assessment that we had been doing before, literally through spreadsheets, right? And we still do that at times. I want to say yes, but I'll maybe follow up with you on that and exactly how that has been helpful to us.
Okay, Monty, if you want to weigh in, type it into Q&A because I can't watch both at the same time very well. So that's all the questions I have at the moment, or that's all that have come up. But let's give people one more chance. We've got a couple more minutes. So if you've got more questions, now is the time to weigh in before you have to wait till at least next year, if then. So while we're waiting, I'll just say, Mandy, you were one of the people that I interviewed, and I enjoyed that discussion. And then, of course, things have changed a lot since then.
Absolutely.
Paul mentions you from time to time, so I get to hear about you through different means.
Yeah,
but
without curse words.
I find you a good resource in terms of, you're very knowledgeable and articulate. So I appreciate having a chance to get you to weigh in, not just with me, but with our members and the other attendees on here. And this is a wonderful, I'm obviously a lifer in support. I love the business. I'm doing this more to give back right now than as a way to make money. And I think it's just wonderful that the collegial environment that we have in these kinds of conferences where people are generously sharing their knowledge, and we're all trying to develop together and help each other. And you're one of those people that really helps us all. So thank you. One more minute on questions, and then we're going to move on.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I echo, it's so great to be able to hear from folks who are tackling really similar issues and how we think about them so differently, or our, the slight differences in our business drive us to approach the problem differently, and seeing how everyone is making progress in this space is so fun.
Well, right now, diversity and viewpoints is really useful. I think things will converge over time, but most of this is new to most people. And as we talked about at first thing this morning, we literally have to start thinking differently about these things. We don't really have a choice. If not, we're going to be steamrollered by this, and we won't be the people in charge, and the new leaders will come in and take it in a different direction. So AI requires support leaders to really think differently. I mean, this is just the beginning, not the end, not the midpoint. It's the very early days. And those that are going to be able to take advantage of that are blessed.
Yeah. On our team, we say that our superpowers are being nimble and adaptable.
Those sound like pretty good superpowers to me.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again very much. And
Absolutely.
Aditya, if you'll come on screen, and Mandy, time to put your device to rest, and maybe even sneak off and get another espresso or get ready for happy hour.
My pleasure. Good to see you,
Okay.
Al. Thanks, everybody.